Welcome back. Now we are watching PSM News in English, and now we'll continue with the news with the latest news updates from local. Minister of Defense and National Security Adam Sharif Umar states threat of terrorism and extremism negatively impact the economy of the country.
Addressing the inauguration ceremony of an awareness workshop for senior educators on violent extremism and terrorism, Minister of Defense and National Security Adam Sharif Umar noted, education sector is the base of developing the economy and other sectors. In this regard, Defense Minister Adam Sharif stated it is crucial to know the behavioral and mental changes to students to ensure the future generation is disciplined when taking over jobs and responsibilities. Noting, if youth seeking jobs in tourism sector are adapted to such bad behavior, it will negatively impact the economy of the Maldives. The Defense Minister said one crucial place to ensure children are taking the right path are in the school environment. In his speech, the Minister highlighted the roles and responsibilities of educators in nurturing a more tolerant society. The Minister further highlighted the economy of Maldives is highly dependent on tourism, which in turn is dependent on creating a more peaceful society. Furthermore, Minister Adam Sharif noted the importance of working together to minimize the threat of terrorism and extremism in Maldives. According to National Counter-Terrorism Center NCTC, the workshop was attended by 43 participants from 19 schools from the Greater Mali region, Ministry of Education and College of Defense Studies. The lectures of the workshop are delivered by Major Ibrahim Naim, Chief Inspector Ahmad Ali, Brigadier General Zakaria Mansour and Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa. The panel gave their expert opinion and advice to syndicates on presenting their recommendations.
Maldives welcomes the 1 millionth tourist to the country in 2018. Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation MMPRC held a special ceremony to celebrate the arrival of the 1 millionth tourist at Welana International Airport, VAA. The 1 millionth visitor of 2018 arrived on Turkish Airlines flight number TK730 to Maldives. Upon arrival, the 1 millionth tourist, Korab Gunner from USA, was received with a traditional welcome by the officials of MMPRC together with the Ministry of Tourism and representatives of the Maldives tourism industry. China's foreign trade in goods rose 9.1% year-on-year to about $2.84 trillion in the first 8 months of this year, maintaining stable performance with good momentum for growth.
According to the General Administration of Customs, exports rose 5.4% year-on-year in the January-August period to about $1.51 trillion, while imports grew 13.7% to about $1.33 trillion, resulting in a trade surplus of about $182.7 billion, which narrowed by 31.3%. In August, exports rose by 7.9%, while imports jumped in by 18.8%. In the first 8 months, exports and imports of products in the general trade category, which are differentiated from processing trade, rose 13.1% from a year ago to about $1.67 trillion, accounting for 58.8% of the total foreign trade, or 2.1 percentage points higher than in the same period of 2017. The country's trade with major trading partners saw an increase during the January-August period. Trade with the European Union, the largest trading partner of China, climbed 6.2% to about $419.5 billion, and trade with the United States and ASEAN countries increased 5.9% and 11.8% respectively to about $390.2 billion and $358.1 billion. Trade with countries along the Belt and Road totaled to about $776.1 billion, up 12% year-on-year, or 2.9 percentage points faster than the average growth rate.
And now we'll continue the news with the latest news updates from international arena. Flood situation in India's most populous state of Uttar Pradesh is showing signs of improvement with flood water receding.
Uttar Pradesh, with a population of some 220 million, has been reeling under flood-like situation for the past week, with incessant rains swelling rivers, which in turn inundated villages and hamlets. The rains have reportedly claimed 15 lives so far and left thousands homeless. District Magistrate in industrial city of Kanpur, Vijay Vishwas Pant, who visited flood-hit areas to get first-hand knowledge of the damage, said water had started to recede. He said the situation would improve if it did not rain in the next 3 to 4 days. Pant and his team also distributed dry ration and food items to flood victims. Annual monsoon season is vital for India as half of its cropland lacks irrigation. But excessive rains during the monsoon causes many problems such as floods, landslides and waterborne diseases, and also affects daily lives of people as well in loss of property and crops of farmers.
China and Pakistan pledged to push forward the all-weather strategic cooperative partnership between the two countries to a new high.
While meeting with Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi in Islamabad, Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi hailed the smooth and successful general elections in Pakistan in July, saying China respects the choice made by the Pakistani people on their own will. Wang said as Pakistan's good friend, good partner and good neighbor, China will stand firmly with the Pakistani side. Stressing ties between China and Pakistan as all-weather strategic cooperative partnership, Wang said relations between the two countries have been established on the basis of long-term mutual understanding, mutual support and mutual trust beyond party differences and government changes. Wang described China and Pakistan as iron brothers who have forged time-tested friendship. Noting that China highly appreciates new Pakistani government's reaffirmation to continue taking the development of ties with China as the cornerstone of its foreign policy, Wang said China will also continue to take the development of ties with Pakistan as a priority in its foreign policy and neighborhood diplomacy. Wang added China will firmly support Pakistan's new government, help Pakistan in its efforts to realize new developmental targets, consolidate strategic mutual trust and strategic coordination, and expedite the construction of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC) so as to elevate the level of all-round cooperation, deepen the friendship between the two peoples, push forward the all-weather strategic cooperative partnership to a new high, and forge a closer China-Pakistan community of a shared future. For his part, Qureshi said, Pakistan and China are most reliable partners and friends, and the friendship will not be affected by the change of governments. The Pakistani foreign minister said the new Pakistani government fully supports the unique Pakistan-China all-weather strategic cooperative partnership and always views its relations with China as the cornerstone of Pakistan's foreign policies. He said Pakistani side has always been and will remain fully supportive to China's core interests and issues of its major concern. He added, on issues related to Pakistan's national security and sovereignty, the Chinese side has also been standing with the Pakistani side as well. Qureshi said the Pakistani new government is now pushing forward an ambitious reform agenda and is willing to learn from China's experiences on economic development, poverty relief, disaster reduction, anti-corruption and environmental protection, among which the promotion of CPEC is the priority. He added, Pakistan is also willing to work with China to strengthen anti-terrorism and defense and intensify coordination and cooperation on multilateral occasions in a bid to lift Pakistan-China all-weather strategic cooperative partnership to a new high. At a joint press conference after the meeting, the Chinese State Councillor said the two sides have reached a 10-point consensus, including deepening strategic cooperation and strengthening development and cooperation with an emphasis on people's livelihood. The two sides also agreed to enhance cooperation on defense and security, increase experience exchanges on governance, expand cultural exchanges, cement cooperation on international and regional affairs, and build a closer China-Pakistan community of a shared future.
North Korea kicked off its 70th anniversary celebration of the founding of its country with a music concert at Pyongyang's Indo Gymnasium.
North Korean chairman of the Standing Committee Kim Yong-nam attended the concert. Military officers and soldiers were also present. The celebrations are expected to showcase a country that has secured a nuclear arsenal and is now focusing on developing its economy and cultivating international relations. The events will kick off about a month of performances, as well as a trade show and other visits designed to drum up foreign investment and tourism spending in the sanctions-strapped country. North Korea routinely uses major holidays to showcase its military capabilities and the latest developments in missile technology.
The Iraqi parliament convened an emergency session to discuss the escalating crisis in Basra, with Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi warning against the politicization of the crisis in the country's second largest city.
Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi also warned parliamentary colleagues that the situation in Basra could descend into armed conflict after residents took to the streets in violent protest over what they say is systematic corruption and misrule that has allowed infrastructure to collapse, leaving no power or safe drinking water. Despite that, political infighting persisted as leaders of the all major blocs vying to form Iraq's ruling coalition criticized one another's roles in the escalating crisis. 5 days of deadly demonstrations have seen government buildings ransacked and set alight by protesters, in addition to a similar occurrence at the Iranian consulate over what many perceive as Iran's sway over Iraq's political affairs. The heads of Basra Operations Command and the Basra Police were both sacked on Saturday, and the government has agreed to send a delegation to Basra to investigate the failure of security forces in protecting the government buildings and the consulate. Meanwhile, noting that there have been no casualties so far with the cholera epidemic in Basra, the government media team said scores of people have been killed or wounded in the southern Iraqi province of Basra, while about 6,200 cases of diarrhea have been reported as a result of water contamination. According to the government media team, 6 are dead and 75 injured as a result of the clash that accompanied the protests in the southern Iraqi province of Basra, and the escalation continues in the oil-rich province. High rates of poverty, unemployment, a significant lack of services, a scarcity and contamination of potable water have caused thousands of cases of poisoning, intestinal diseases, and fear of cholera outbreaks. According to members of the government media team, Baghdad recently gave the local government of Basra substantial financial and broad powers to address the problems in the province and contain the ongoing demonstrations for months. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Iraq, UNAMI, called on the Iraqi government to do its utmost to respond to the legitimate demands of citizens and calm down people in Basra province, and urged the authorities to avoid the use of inappropriate forceful means against demonstrators, to provide the necessary protection, to guarantee human rights, and to investigate those responsible for the outbreak of violence.
The national football teams of France and the Netherlands train ahead of a UEFA Nations League match. We take a closer look.
France and Netherlands trained at the Stade de France, with both teams' coaches saying that they need to sharpen up their players. The game will be France's first on home soil since winning the World Cup in July, following their goalless draw away to Germany. The French seemed to be nursing a post-victory hangover when they faced Germany in Munich on Thursday in their first outing since the final, creating only a few chances in the Nations League game compared to their opponents' half dozen. Netherlands coach Ronald Koeman said his team changed in order to be able to take on the French world champions.
Egypt allowed the public to visit a 4,000-year-old tomb in the Saqqara necropolis near Giza for the first time in a bid to promote tourism.
The tomb, discovered in 1940 by Egyptologist Zaki Saad, belongs to an ancient Egypt high-ranking official named Mihu, who was related to the first king of the 6th dynasty. The tomb included 2 chambers, both with wall inscriptions of the owner of the tomb hunting, as well as drawings showing aspects of ancient Egyptian life such as hunting and acrobatic dancing. Mihu lived during the reign of King Pepi and held 48 titles, found inscribed on the walls of his chamber. According to the head of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, Mustafa al-Wazirit, it is a family tomb of a father, son and grandson. Archaeologists have so far this year excavated a number of relics that include a 4,400-year-old tomb at the Giza Plateau and an ancient necropolis at Minya, south of Cairo. Egypt is hoping these discoveries will brighten its image abroad and revive interest among travelers who once flocked to its iconic pharaonic temples and pyramids, but who have shunned the country since its 2011 political uprising.
With that, we conclude the news for this bulletin. Thanks for joining us and have a pleasant day ahead. Bye-bye.